The FBI Latent Hit of the Year is awarded annually to an outstanding latent examiner or officer who solved a major violent crime by using the FBI's IAFIS database. 2010, Gloria Pasquale, Dory Savage, and John Teft. Dallas, Texas, 1966. A young man is arrested for criminal possession of a weapon. No one could have predicted that the fingerprints from that arrest would lead to such an extraordinary breakthrough almost 40 years later.
In 1971, Gerald Jackson was murdered. He had been in the Army, served in Vietnam. He was a postal worker. He worked, pays taxes, was a good citizen, did everything that he's supposed to do. Jackson doesn't show up for work. Co-workers get concerned about him. San Diego police show up, go to the apartment, find him deceased.
We just didn't understand. We just did not understand how another human being could do that.
I was a senior in high school in Pacific Beach. I lived only 5 blocks from this house. So I remembered when it happened, it was the talk of the neighborhood.
It was a pretty bad murder. He was stabbed several times. The suspect stole his car along with some of his property.
They find the AM/FM receiver, which had been pawned. When they recover it, on the side of it, in dried blood, is the palm print. In 1971, they didn't have any of the computer capabilities we have today. It was really typical, old-fashioned, grab fingerprint cards and compare them.
It must have been frustrating for everyone involved in this case. Crime lab personnel, detectives, they did a lot of hard work over periods of months to try to solve this crime, and it went cold.
And then 37 years later, we searched this case through our automated database.
When I initially submitted the latent impressions through the databases, I only checked the databases here locally and our state database, and all of those were negative. So the only database left to search was the IAFIS database.
Stacy entered all the impressions, and then I checked them. From the time that she entered, I probably checked them the next day. I looked at this particular impression, and things were matching up. Once we got that hit, then we were able to compare any other impressions that we had to that subject.
The suspect in this case is a Gerald Metcalf.
I was able to identify the subject on items inside the home and on his vehicle.
I thought, well, this is a good lead, but it's not the knockout punch, because maybe Metcalf had a legitimate reason for being with Jackson. The hot piece of evidence was the palm in blood.
We just needed now to have something to compare that palm print to.
Mr. Metcalf makes his way back to Texas and goes about his life from 1971 on. I located him in a small town in Texas. The goal was to go back and not only interview him and in effect marry him to a story. Do you know this guy? Do you have a right to be there, or marry him to a lie? But also to go back and execute a search warrant on his person to collect fingerprints, palm prints, handwriting exemplar, and DNA.
So my job was to get a nice, clean, known print so that she could do a good enough job in comparing the print collected at the crime scene to the print collected from the suspect.
We all went down to the sheriff's office. We completed what was required.
The suspect appeared a little nervous,
John Teft.
like he wanted to say something, but he couldn't quite say it.
Showed him a picture of Gerald Jackson. Do you know this man? No. Showed him a picture of the house. You ever been in this house? No. Showed him a picture of a car. You ever been in this car? No, no, no. Well, I know yes, 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 because I have his physical evidence there. Okay, well, like I said, we have your fingerprints in the house and in the car. And you know about fingerprints, right? Right. They're unique, right? Showed him a picture of the stereo. No, he's never touched that. Well, we're gonna later learn that that's his palm print on the side. And he confessed to killing the man.
The San Diego Police Department has apparently solved a murder that happened nearly 4 decades ago. Here's NBC's Michael Oku.
Authorities have now arrested 60-year-old Gerald Metcalf.
I think that all of the cases that we work are important. Having solved it after 37 years was pretty special.
Everybody's here, everybody does their job, and the people I work with are spectacular. They all do their job well. So I'm proud to be part of that team.
It was a combination of technology and teamwork, of new computers as well as the old-fashioned human involvement that made this case happen.
That card that was in the IAFIS database came from an arrest in Texas. To have something like that come up 37 years later is pretty amazing. Look what we were able to do with this 37-year-old homicide. What we were able to do was search that database. We would not have solved this crime if we had not had access to IAFIS.
Tap into the power of IAFIS. To learn more about using IAFIS latent services, go to FBI.gov. To submit for the Latent Hit of the Year award, send an email to FBI Latent Hit at leo.gov.